Can we actually thrive and be joyful in this crazy world? Well, the good news is yes, we can. On today's episode, we will talk and learn about how and why so many people are doing stuff that's going to hurt themselves and the community and the world. A very simple technique that you can start using today to make you feel better. And we'll end with a real feel good story. So, welcome to our Yes We Can podcast. So, the first thing we have to learn is why so many people are doing such crazy things that are going to hurt themselves and others. If we look at the world and if we look at all the rich people or poor people or powerful people, we all have one thing in common, and that is we are human beings, and as such, we have a human body. So, what can a human body do? A human body can speak and do physical activities. But as human beings, we can think too. And we think by using our mind. So at the end of the day, there are three actions we can do. We can think, we can speak, and we can do physical activities. But then, why are we so different if anyone, any human being in this world can only do these three things? That is best explained by thinking about a robo who looks like a human being. So, if you imagine a robo, it has two tiny machines that look like eyes. Let's focus on those. What the machine does is it'll get data from the outside world through these little machines that look like eyes, and that data will be taken into the computer processor in the robo's brain area. And that processor is able to analyze this data and come up with a set of instructions for the robot to carry out. Now, how does the computer processor know what to do? It is done by computer scientists who write step by step instructions. And as you know, those instructions have a name. It's called an algorithm. So then, if we look at ourselves, we too follow a similar pattern. We have few uh, machines which we call the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the skin, and they get data from the outside world, and then the mind and the brain analyzes this data and decides what course of action to take. So then we have to think, how do we create our algorithms? We know a robot's algorithms are created by a computer scientist. Who creates our algorithms? And that is something that happens from the time we are born up to about age 5. During this time, a little baby constantly observes how other adults and other human beings behave and starts mimicking them. And that's how the initial algorithms are made. And one of the good news is that if the child saw the parents nurturing and loving each other, and then also helping the child become a better person, plus sees how the parents react and act with the community, especially people in need. Those are the things that the child will learn by mimicking the parents. But the bad news is, let's think of a father who will hurt his wife. Unfortunately, the children will get that data in and create algorithms for those as well. Or let's say the family believed in white supremacy and treated others differently. That too, unfortunately, will be learned by the child. These algorithms that are made in the first 5 years, they last a lifetime. So that is the not so good news. But the good news is we have the ability to change them. Before we learn how we can change them, I need to share one more thing. And this is something that happens when we are about 4 years of age. That's when the frontal lobe, the front portion of our brain, starts developing. And that is an amazing thing because the frontal lobe is in charge of understanding complicated problems, finding solutions for them, also knowing what is right in the world and what is wrong in the world. So the frontal lobe, which continues to develop from age 4 until the early 20s. Now, let's go back and see how do we as adults modify the algorithms that we learned as kids and also learn new things. Say, for example, driving a car. We didn't know how to drive a car when we were 5 years old. That's something we learned when we were older. So, how do we create and modify our algorithms as adults? The basic premise of all human beings, the only method we have to change our algorithms or learn new algorithms is by repetition. Now, long ago, this repetition happened by the people that were around us, our friends, our parents, and other adults in the community. That is how we got to know new algorithms, repetition. Unfortunately, things have changed now. There are a lot of people who are lonely and rarely come in contact with other human beings. What they are being exposed to is social media and the television. And unfortunately, this kind of exposure and repetition is causing a lot of people to get brainwashed. And one more thing is happening in our society just now, and that is we are stressed. Now, you might think very rich and powerful people do not experience stress. That's not the case. They have a different kind of stress. You see, they are worried about their shareholders. They have become greedy, and some of them want to hoard the money they have earned. And then others live in fear that they might get kidnapped or might be killed by someone. Now, compare that kind of stress with someone who's homeless. They are hungry, they don't know whether they'll get food to eat, they don't have a safe place to sleep, so they have a different set of stresses. as opposed to a single mother, or if you think about someone who's addicted either to drug or alcohol, they have another set of stresses. But at the end of the day, since our body is the same and our mind works more or less the same, irrespective of the type of stress, they all, the body reacts the same way and the mind reacts the same way. And what happens to them is that our frontal lobe shuts down. And when the frontal lobe is inactive, all our primitive algorithms start working spontaneously with no supervision by the frontal lobe. So we lose the ability to understand complex problems, which means we also lose the ability to find solutions for these complex problems. And if you are addicted to either alcohol or drugs, there is no way that these people could control their urges because their frontal lobe is shut down. And as adults who are working maybe 3 jobs a day, well, when their frontal lobe shuts down, all their animal kind of behavior, the childhood algorithms, all start manifesting. So, in my opinion, the number one thing we all have to do is try to reactivate our frontal lobes. Now, the good news is how we can do that is by reducing the stresses we experience, and most of the techniques we have to use doesn't cost money. So, as we go on this series of podcasts, we will share many techniques for you to reduce your stress. Today, we will talk about one technique called journaling. This literally has 100% guarantee if you actually implement it, and it is very easy to do. So at the end of the day, when your urgent tasks are done, what you do is you sit in a safe, quiet place and you grab a piece of paper and you write down everything that is bugging you, your frustrations, your anger. Write everything down. Now, this is not a list. You actually have to write down what you are feeling. Now, you don't have to worry too much about the spelling, etc. All you need is to get that out on paper. And once you're done with your session, you tear that piece of paper into tiny little pieces and you throw it away. Please do not keep it, do not read it, or share it with anyone. And every day, spend a little bit of time doing this. And on the 21st day, that is 3 weeks after you start doing this, you will feel a difference. Those stresses that were like really making you uncomfortable, you feel a sense of relief, which means your frontal lobe will start getting reactivated and you will start healing. So, this is a great technique that doesn't cost you any money at all. Now, unfortunately, the world is such a chaotic uh, place that we may have to continue to journal because our frustrations keep changing, and uh, therefore you will need to continue to do that. There is one more thing I want to share with you at this time. You see, I cannot change you, And you cannot change me, but I have the power to change myself, and you have the power to change yourself. All these techniques and knowledge, we can give it to you, but unfortunately, you have to do them if you are to get any relief from them. So, the third part of our podcast, we wanted to share a feel good story, and these are true stories. Today's story comes from New York, from a young female medical doctor who graduated recently. Her dream was to become a cardiologist, which is a heart specialist. And so after she graduated from medical school, she started planning the applications because those fellowships to become a cardiologist are very competitive. And as she was going through the process, her favorite professor called her to a side one day and had told her not to apply because she did not stand a chance of getting a fellowship. Now, this was a terrible blow to her. So that night, she went home and she cried her heart out. But after that, she paused for a second and she thought objectively. And she realized what he said was true. She had to do a whole bunch more things if she were to get this fellowship. So she methodically looked at all the tasks that she had to do if she were to be a competitive applicant for this process. And step by step, with much perseverance, she managed to complete all of the requirements that was needed before the deadline. So she was successful in getting the fellowship. And in fact, she was the first female fellow in that program. So the lessons we can learn from this story are many. Number one, it is important to express your emotions. And please never give up on your dreams. We have to learn and strategize. But if our strategy is not the correct one, we should have the courage and the confidence to course correct. And finally, we should pause for a second and celebrate our wins. Friends, our mission is to help 1 million people. So I really need your help. So please subscribe and share this with as many people as you can. And please send us your comments. We want to hear from you. And then also, if you'd like to sign up for our newsletter, there is a link below for you to do that. So thank you so much for spending this time with us. And remember, we can thrive and be joyful in this crazy world. Take care of yourself, and we hope to see you soon.